The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Fort McDowell, Yavapai Nation, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35176. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks located on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Also on the forward face of the bumper, you'll find dual air horns. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Directly in the center, you'll find your unit identifier 402. Moving just to the right, you'll find your mechanical siren and air horn. Let's move up onto the bumper extension, where you'll find a swivel discharge on the passenger side. As you move toward the center, you'll find a D-handle. D-handle will gain you access into the front storage location for your front bumper load. Let's move over to the side of the cab, where you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside of that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. The high beam will be located on the inside. Moving directly up from that headlight structure, you'll find a marker turn indicator light and also emergency warning light. In the center, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across a seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edges, you'll find the mirrors, which house a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow, you'll find 5 clearance lights. And on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find 2 forward-facing floodlights. Let's move up onto the roof, where you'll find 2 emergency warning lights, one over the passenger area and one over the driver's area. Located directly in the center, you'll find a spotlight, go light, controlled from within inside the cab. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, let's start down at the front bumper extension. D-handle gains us access into the tubbed storage location. Dry deck material on the inside. Let's go ahead and take a look at the entire side from the driver's perspective, and then we'll focus in on the cab area. Let's start first with the front axle, where you'll find a sight gauge located, Alcoa wheels, Goodyear tires. As we move to the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving toward the rear of the cab, you'll find your auto-eject shoreline power. As we move up to the door handles, you'll easily find that these are accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also a keyed lock. Right next to those, you'll find grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. Directly over the front axle, you'll find a D-handle will gain you access into the interior compartment. Overhead, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and as we move to the rear of the cab, you'll find a side-facing LED water level tank indicator. Let's take a look at the wheel here real quick. As you can see, Alcoa wheels, Goodyear tires, and the sight gauge located in the center. As we move to the rear of the cab, you'll find the pole light with a light affixed to the very top of that. Let's go ahead and go inside the cab. First, we'll start with all of our safety and warning information affixed to the door panel. As we move up, you'll find your lock and latch, and then also manual window control. Let's go ahead and take a look at the door panel, where you'll find, once again, safety and warning information, lock, latch, and also manual window control and a grab handle. As we look inside at the base of the seat, you'll find when plugged into shore power, your battery voltage system will activate. And we'll also look at the left ankle area of the operator for these placards. This is the manufactured for your department. On this placard, you'll find the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. Let's go ahead and take a look at about the left knee of the operator space. This is forward of the left knee. You'll find the silver master battery switch. As you move to the right, you'll find the engine, transmission, ABS, and J1939 diagnostic port. And then just beneath that, you'll find some switches. This is going to be the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF region switch, engine diagnostics indicator, and then also a region inhibit switch.
When any of those functions have been activated, the light will illuminate within the switch area. As we move up, you'll find the tire pressure monitoring system. And then as we move to the right-hand side, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions here on the placard for road to pump operations and then also from pump to road operations. Just as a reminder, before exiting the cab, you need 2 green indicators indicating pump engaged and OK to pump in the vehicle and drive for pump operations. To the left, you'll find your start and ignition switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master, that will engage or disengage all emergency lights. To the right, the headlight and further to the right panel switch. On the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find the high idle indicator and OK to engage the high idle switch. Moving up onto the dash, you'll find the transmission, oil pressure, DEF level, and water temp on the left. To the right, you'll find front and rear air, volts, and fuel level. Located in the center, you'll find the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's take a quick look just to the right area here of the operator, and then we'll start with the dash area. Located at the upper portion is where you're going to find your inverter control module. Just beneath that, you'll find a set of switches: driver's side cab scene, passenger cab scene, driver's scene, and mirror heat. Also just to the right are your windshield wiper control, push for fluid onto the windshield. Let's move downward from this location. We have an emergency master switch, engine brake on and off switch, a setting for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, siren or horn selector, air horn or electric horn, and load manager. Let's move further down in the same area. First, we'll start on the left-hand side with the yellow diamond, which is our pull to apply your system parking brake or push to release. Just down from that, you'll find mirror control for the flat and convex mirror passenger and driver side. And then your Allison digital readout with an indication note to pump in drive. Also, you'll find caution, disengage the retarder when on wet surfaces. And also, you'll find a 12-volt barrel style access. And directly above that, you'll find your heat, defrost, and air conditioning. Moving down, you'll find your push to talk button, and then further to the right, you'll find the monitor for your backup camera system. Let's take a general look here toward the rear section, still within the same area. You have a flashlight and radio charger. And then we'll go ahead and look overhead, where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle. As we move further to the right, you'll find just in the center a red indicator. If illuminating and flashing, it's indicating do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment or door open. Also, we have the Code 3 electronic siren and PA speaker control module, the Wheelin' Traffic Advisor, and then as we move further to the right, you'll find your intercom headset system. And directly in the center, you'll find seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating someone is in the seat and belted. General view here of the driver's space. Let's go ahead and move exterior now. We'll identify the door directly behind the operator's seat. Exterior access. And now we're moving to the rear section of the cab area. Fixed to the door panel, once again, all of our safety and warning information, door, latch, and also lock, including the window control. As we move to the rear portion of the engine, you'll find 12-volt access via USB style. Also, directly in the center, a lift and turn latch will gain you access into this compartment. This is the rear section of the engine, as for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Just a quick look at the rear wall, where you'll find 2 seats located in the center section, and also flashlight charging systems, overhead, intercom system, push on and off red and white lights, and also stereo speakers. We're to the rear of the shoreline inlet on the side of the driver's area. This is an auto eject 20 amp plug. We also have your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain located just underneath this area. We'll go ahead and start with the pump panel in the upper left-hand corner of the image, and first start with the cross lays. There are 3 cross lays located here, color-coded and labeled. They all 3 are foam capable, and we also have a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from a loft, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move down, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Moving further to the right, you'll find in the gray area the master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. As we move between the 2 of those, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move further to the right, you'll find an audible alarm. This is a speaker, and the outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen or brighten the sound by simply rotating. Further to the right, you'll find the water level indicator, which is the blue module. And as we move down, you'll find the fire pump primer. It is an air prime, push to prime, with instructions below at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Further to the right, you're going to find the Hercules CAFS system compressor control module. And then further to the right, you'll find in red the Husky 3 foam system control module. There are instructions for the foam system on the placard, in addition with a foam level indicator just to the right in red. As we move further to the right, you'll find the Pierce throttle pressure governor and also a warning indicator that you can engage the throttle if the light is illuminating green. As we move further to the right, you'll find some switch panels, but you'll also find an OK to pump indicator. It's the second indicator. Let's move down on the pump panel, and just slightly to the left where you'll find your Hercules CAF system operating instructions and also the Husky 3 foam system specifications placards. Moving further to the right, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull, and as we previously mentioned, right next to it's the fire pump primer. As we move down, you'll find all of your switches related to the CAFS system, and you can see which color-coded and labeled discharge those are assigned to. Across the very bottom, we'll find all of our color-coded labeled discharge drains, and you can also identify which are foam and CAFS capable by the blue indicator. To the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Further to the right, you'll find a real discharge, tank fill and recirculating line, and then right next to it, the last one on the right, that's going to be your tank to pump. As we move up, we have your headset plug-in location and also a push to talk for that headset. Let's move further down on the pump panel. We'll identify the passenger side large diameter discharge. And then also we have a warning placard. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they received proper training. Just to the right, 2.5-inch discharges. Moving just downward, you'll find your air supply and air outlet. And then further to the right, you'll find your CAFS supply. You'll also find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move further to the right, you'll find the red Watrous placard indicating the type of pump you have and the capacity of the pump. We'll go over that also in a few moments. And then also a 2.5-inch female ball valve auxiliary inlet. As we move to the right, the Pierce American Flag Eagle logo is your large diameter pump intake. Further to the right, a warning label indicating caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move further to the right, you'll find your main pump drain. There are 2 pan doors located on the right for gaining access behind the pump panel. And then as we move further, just slightly to the left, you'll find a warning label here regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Further to the right, your foam fill operations, and then also an additional warning label, fall, do not ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Here's some close-ups also on the vertical sheet. You'll find an inverter and shoreline outlet. Let's go back to the placards. This is the 1500 GPM Watrous pump CSU type. And then as we move to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left, the associated GPM. On the right, the associated RPM at that test pressure. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find the 5-digit job number 35176. Let's move now to the body compartments. We'll first start in the very first compartment on the driver's side. We'll find a battery charger, a breaker box, and then just to the right, you'll find your inverter. At the very bottom, you'll find a pull-out tray. The lower right-hand corner is where the release and lock mechanism is located. Let's take a look first in the upper left-hand corner and identify the two outlets that are located here. These are Shoreline outlets. When plugged into Shoreline, the battery charger will operate. Moving further to the right, you can see there's a breaker box, which is the S1A, and then also to the right, you'll also find your inverter module. Let's move downward. You'll find the adjustable shelf, and then at the very bottom section, a pull-out tray. Let's move to the next compartment back, where you'll find two SCBA bottle storage locations directly in front of the front axle, and they also have retaining straps. You'll also find a side-facing mid-emergency warning light, and then also our fuel door, which houses the ultra-low sulfur diesel, which is the silver cap. As you move the flap downward, it will expose the blue DEF cap, which is a 4.5 US gallon tank. Let's move now to the next compartment to the rear, where you'll find at the very bottom section two folding wheel chocks stored exterior. As we move inside, you'll find an SCBA bottle storage location, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. General view here of the side with all compartments in the open. We'll now move to the rear section of the apparatus. We'll identify at the very top an emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. You'll also find two rear-facing scene lights, which are adjustable at the light itself. And at the very upper section, you'll find 360-degree emergency warning lights. On the side, you'll find your 24-foot and 14-foot extension ladder, 10-foot attic, and also long tool storage. On the left side of the vehicle, you'll find your deck lights. This is a switch to control those. And I'd also like to point out some warning labels. When climbing on the vehicle, make sure you face it, and then also don't ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's move upward from this location, identify a few things. First, warning regarding entanglement hazard because of those hoses coming from aloft. Directly in the center is your backup camera. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find an additional warning label regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Further to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch rear discharge. And then as we move to the very center section, you'll find your traffic advisor. Let's move downward from this location to the roll-up compartment door. It's currently in the open position. You'll find an adjustable tray at the upper portion, and then also a pull-out tray in the very bottom section. The right-hand side of the tray does have the lock mechanism. As we move to the ladders, once again, 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, 10-foot attic, and long tool storage. As we move to the hose bed, you'll find on the right-hand side the red section here, which is your backboard storage location. We're now to the passenger side of the vehicle, all compartments open. Let's start first with the rear compartment. You'll find at the very bottom section a tool board and also a pull-out tray. Now in the open position, once again, the lock is on the right-hand side. Let's move to the center compartment directly over the axle, where you'll find two SCBA bottle storage to the rear of the axle with retaining straps, an emergency warning light directly over the axle. As we move forward, we'll find two additional SCBA storage with retaining straps, and then also an oxygen bottle storage location. 3 SCBA mounts in the upper portion. I would like to point out this placard. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be cautious where you park your vehicle and take all safety precautions. As we move to the next compartment forward, you'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and ventilation. As we move inside the compartment, you'll find shoreline power and inverted power on the outlets. We're now to the midsection. This is going to be a couple of warning labels I'd like to go over. First, starting at the very top, pressure hazard. We've talked about that before. And then also fall hazard. Always face the vehicle when climbing on it. At the very upper portion, additional warning regarding entanglement hazard because of those hoses coming from aloft. There are 3 crosslays, the same crosslays on the driver's side we previously saw. As we move down to the pan door, you'll find your foam operations digital readout here behind the double pan door. As we move downward, we'll find the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is your large diameter passenger side inlet. To the right, the green large diameter discharge passenger side, and then also a 2.5-inch discharge. Let's move downward on the pump panel. Identify a few things here. First, cab lift. We do have instructions for lift and also lower. We do have caution and danger information on this and a protected switch. As we move down, all of our color-coded labeled discharge drains. As we move directly under this area, you'll find the front discharge drain. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find your pull light with a light on the very top section, and then also on the vertical side sheet, shoreline inverter outlet. Let's go ahead and go inside of the cab at the rear section. Once again, affixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information. Door lock and latch, grab handle, and manual window control. As we move inside, same configuration as we saw earlier, 2 seats directly mounted in the center area on a pedestal, overhead, push on and off red or white lens lights, and also your stereo speakers. We're now exterior on the passenger side. This is directly behind the officer seat. Let's go ahead and go into the officer space. And as we move into this area, again, fixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information, manual window controls, door lock and latch, and grab handle. As we move inside, you'll find in the officer space in the upper left the control module for the go light. Also your EQ2B, this is your mechanical siren control module and PA speaker system. As we move further to the right on the A pillar, you'll find your windshield wiper fill location. And down at the very bottom section, you'll find a foot pedal which will control that mechanical siren. Let's take a look from the officer's perspective just slightly to the left, where you'll find these set of 3 push buttons. These are going to be starting at the very top section, the first push button, air horn, electronic siren, and mechanical siren. As we move to the rear seat behind the officer, you'll find the EQ2B control module head. And then as we look overhead, forward facing, you'll find your unit radio, also a switch panel housing your driver's scene, driver's side cab scene, passenger side cab scene, passenger scene, and a siren brake, which is red for the mechanical siren. I'd also like to point out you do have an AM/FM radio, weather band, CD player located directly over the officer space. As we move to the rear hose bed, you'll find in the forward section the top fill location for your water tank fill and also top fill for Class A foam. I do have a warning label here regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. We previously saw this with the door in the open position. Now that it's closed on the hose bed area, we'll find these yellow diamonds indicating the area or safety area for operators. You'll also find 4 doors located on the exterior and also 2 access panels located in the forward position for water and foam access. These are the doors that we saw on the top in the hatch compartment. There are 2 on each side, passenger and driver side. Let's go ahead and move now to the dunnage area. Identify a few items within this area. First, D-handle will gain you access into the foam CAFS system area. Now the lid is in the open position. There is maintenance and oil checks which would be required inside this space. And also back to the dunnage, you'll find the booster line, free spool tension on the right-hand side. As we move upward, you'll find the location where you'd insert the tool for manual rewind. Also located in the center is your master stream device. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Husky 3 foam operations. This is the hydraulic fill location for that system. As we move to the forward cab area, I would like to remind you that you have 2 warning labels here. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these 2 identifiers here indicating for firefighter safety. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front section of the cab area, same configuration as we have on the driver's side. Congratulations, Fort McDowell, Yavapai Nation, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35176. If you have any questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.